What is going on, Sabres fans, and welcome to another episode of the Sabres Spotlight podcast, where we shine a light on all things Sabres hockey. Ryan, what's going on?
Not much, man. We're getting into the holiday season and the dreaded Thanksgiving date, where it seems like most of the time, if you're in the playoffs at that time, you're in the playoffs in May. And right now, the Sabres are out of the playoffs by, I believe, 2 points with a game in hand on Boston, and we all just feel really bad still. So I'm ready to get into it.
I love it. I love it because the Sabrehood is like so pissed off right now, and like we're already leading off the show with a but. There could be something good about this.
Like, have you looked at our division at all? Like, just not even like the wild card, like factoring in the other division, but our division is so. I feel like it's so bad. Like, we can just talk about it right away, right up the top here, and get into the Bruins. But they fired Jim
hmm
Montgomery today.
Oh, did they really? I didn't even see that news.
Yes, sir. They fired Montgomery and replaced him with Joe Sacco. He was a coach for the Sabres, an assistant on Ralph Kruger's staff, and he coached Colorado when they were tanking and really bad. So I don't know if this is the answer for Jim Montgomery. He has like his record with the Bruins is like 105 and like 40, like in
Yeah,
that
that's
ballpark,
crazy.
and they gassed him. And look at what Don did the last 3 years for us, and we literally kept him forever.
hmm
Like the difference between two organizations and their expectations is on full display right there.
So here's a question for you: If this happened last year and Jim Montgomery was available,
Oh,
would you have wanted him instead of Ruff? I mean, I'm happy with Ruff,
yes,
but
100%.
he would have
No
went
doubt.
right to the top of that list.
No doubt. Like I actually questioned myself today and it's like, is Jim Montgomery a coach you fire Lindy Ruff for?
Dude, I know,
Like
seriously.
knowing that would never happen like in a million years. But dude, like you could just nudge Lindy and be like, you want to go to the front office? You
That's
know,
what I'm
and
saying. Like in like
and do
another couple months when Kevin Adams is fired, just move Lindy up and just give Jim Montgomery the head coaching job, and Seth can stay where he is. That's fine.
no. We got to talk about
We'll
Seth
talk
after
about it
when we get
later.
into it. But it is quite interesting. Just like our division is so bad. Like Tampa's nothing special. The Bruins are clearly like not great this year. Montreal's not great, even though they've won 3 of 4. Ottawa's getting pounded tonight again. Detroit is the worst offensive team in hockey right now. I was looking at their a little bit of their like advanced stats a little bit posted by Micah McCurdy. And you know how I send you those little blobs? They're like that red is good and blue is bad, like in the offensive zone.
hmm
They have deep, deep blue in the center of the ice and around the net. They just don't get to the front of the net. Like they're terrible. So like our division and the teams we're competing with are bad. Like we just have to be like the best bad team, basically.
Dude, you are coming in hot tonight, and I love it. You are rolling right at the beginning of the pod here.
Because I'm mad about where we are, but also like there could be something going on here. Like I don't know. We got a big West Coast trip coming up, so we got to steal some points here, and then we'll feel good going into the Thanksgiving break.
Well, let's recap this real quick. So the fact that you're saying we're still alive here because this the Boston Bruins right now are 8-9-3. They got
Yep.
19 points with 20 games played, which is two games. The Sabres basically have 2 games in hand over them and are 2 points out of that fourth spot. And then you have Ottawa right behind Boston at 8-1, who are currently tied with the Sabres in points. They're going to lose tonight. They're losing to the Oilers right now, 5-1. For those of you listening, depending on the date, we're recording this on Tuesday the 19th, so that's a Tuesday night game. Sabres play tomorrow. Detroit and Montreal, we already talked about. We're not too worried about that. But yeah, the conference is kind of middling, and when it comes down to if you think about if you think about a playoff spot, if you look at the division right now, I think I'm starting to think Ottawa may not be around for the whole year. Allmark has looked questionable in goal, and they're kind of like the Sabres. Is Ottawa just going to end up doing Ottawa things, right? Like we'll see. But my faith in them to not stick around all season is kind of high. So I'm wondering if they are not necessarily in competition for the third spot in the Atlantic here. Boston I think we're starting to see it. I just kind of think it feels like Swayman has been kind of off. Like the systems doesn't seem to be working. They just fired Montgomery. Like it, they could go on a run, but I wonder if we're just starting to see the downfall there. And then you have Tampa, right? So if the Sabres can pick it up, then you're competing with, I mean, those two teams in Tampa for third place. I mean, even Tampa is, I mean, they have 2 games in hand on the Sabres, but they're only 2 points ahead of us. It's hard to make up points in this league. I know you can't assume both of those wins, but it just kind of shows you how middling this division is right now. And Tampa just won tonight in overtime, so they actually just won. So Tampa will pick up. So they'll be 4 points ahead of us. So you're still, if you're the Sabres, you're probably not getting third in the division. You're probably going to have to compete with Tampa for that. You'd have to get really hot to do so. But these are teams you're competing with for that wild card 2 spot. And then the Metro doesn't look much better after those top 3 teams.
Right, because you got Washington. I don't know if Washington's real. I did just see that Ovechkin, who was on an absolute
Well,
tear.
they are real. Like they do exist.
There, Ovechkin's been on a tear, dude. Like I don't know what they put in his cereal in the morning on game day, but for that old guy, he really wants the goal record. Like he is on fire. Unfortunately, I just saw that he has an injury and he's week to week, so we'll see if they like kind of sputter a little bit. But they're on fire. I mean, I think they're first in the
They're in
or
first right
second
now.
in the
Yep.
yeah, they're in first in their division. I think second in the whole league behind Winnipeg. Oh, man, that's weird. And then you got the Rangers who are in wild card one, and they're only 3 points behind Carolina and New Jersey. I feel like those four teams are a lock as
Those
of
4 teams
now.
are locks.
Like
Yeah.
we thought that Washington was going to fall off this year, but
I
I mean,
didn't. I said they
if
were going to come in third.
okay, props to you, props to you. I definitely thought they were going to come up, but like, let's say
What
those
they
four teams
did
are
is
in.
what I wanted the Sabres to do a little bit.
They kind of they made trades.
Yeah, they
They,
made moves.
yeah, they did a lot. They did a lot, man, and a lot of it, from my perspective, because I differed on you. I thought like, okay, they're just making these moves to get Ovi the goal record, and stupid me, you score goals, you win games.
hmm
So hey, if they're real, then you got to count Washington, Carolina, New Jersey, and New York as playoff teams, and then you're competing with, like you said, Boston, Tampa, and then probably not Ottawa and Detroit and Pittsburgh because they're terrible.
Yeah,
So
I don't even
Philly,
know. I don't even honestly. I don't even think you're competing with Tampa for wild card 2 because I think they're getting third in the division. So
okay,
I think you're competing with, if you're saying Washington, Carolina, New Jersey, New York, Rangers are locks in the Metro, and wild card 1 between the Devils and Rangers most likely, or even the Capitals. We'll see. You're from the from the Atlantic, Florida, Toronto, and Tampa. I think are locks unless Vasilevsky gets hurt or like the wheels just fall off in Tampa. I think you're competing with the Islanders and Boston, dude, for that like this is a year to do it because teams and the Sabres too. The Sabres to date have kind of shown who they are and an inconsistent hockey team. But our whole point here is that it's been a bad start. It's been a bad stretch of games over the last week since we last talked on the pod. But there's still hope. Like you are not out of it yet, and there's only seemingly a couple teams that you're realistically competing with for that wild card 2 spot.
yeah, I agree, man. Let's so we did a bit of a macro discussion here. Let's get into the news of the week.
All right, take us away. Take us away.
Oh, I get to do the news? I never get to do the news. This is great. Unfortunately, guys, we didn't have a great week. I don't really want to talk about those games because I was really annoyed with all of them. They kind of pissed me off, especially the Montreal game.
Yeah,
Really
1 and
pissed me
2
off.
since we last spoke.
It is completely unacceptable to not beat the Montreal Canadiens when you score 5 goals. Like, what are we doing there? UPL was really bad. Devin Levi, we'll get to him later. But after that grueling week of hockey, we've had some injury news. Unfortunately, and I thought his play has kind of died down a little bit since the hot start early in the season, but Jordan Greenway has been carrying an injury and according to Lindy, he's out week to week, and that kind of makes sense. His play has dropped off. He's not as physical, and I guess he's carrying like a nagging injury. Tage Thompson missed a couple games. He practiced on Monday, but according to Lance Lysowski, he's not sure. Asked Lindy, and Lindy is not sure if he's going to be in the lineup Wednesday night against LA. Alex Tuck did practice today in full, so he should be in the lineup on Tuesday. And UPL, who's day to day, should be in the net on Wednesday. So we'll see how the week goes. We got a bit of an injury bug going. Guys in and out of the lineup, guys called up from Rochester. But with the West Coast swing coming up, you got to take games. You got to take points from these three teams.
Sabres after dark, baby.
Yep, and I'll be feeding my son at 2 a.m. getting mad at hockey.
My thoughts on this news here. Greenway Greenway being out is, I think, actually kind of a big deal just because of what he provides from. I mean, he was playing pretty good before the injury.
Yep.
He was one of our only players who was being like very physical. You felt his presence on the ice. Obviously, he is important on the penalty kill. So Greenway not being available when they go out west is something that they're going to have to work around. And if they get into some physical matchups there, they're going to have to rely on that fourth line and Zach Benson to bring the physicality. But Tage hopefully coming back and Tuck coming back. It sounds like they're close. The one thing I wanted to mention about UPL, did you hear Lindy was talking about how before the Montreal game, like he got himself banged up in like practice, like before
Yep.
the game, but then they still rolled him out. Like I don't understand the
Me neither.
the thought of that, especially if Levi like needed to get a game. I don't think he hadn't played in a while, right? Like he
No, that was the game he should have played.
yeah, because against Calgary, yeah, it was UPL, so that was a game he should have played. And so I'm just thinking to myself, like, if Levi was kind of due for a game, why not? Why even risk that? UPL had already played the last few games in a row, like four in a row. So I don't really understand.
And he had an off night. I mean, he was brutal. He was
Yeah,
an off day, I guess. It was a matinee game, but he was terrible. And then I guess this goes to show why Devin Levi got sent to Rochester because he did make an appearance in that game and immediately gave up 2 goals on 2 shots.
yeah, yeah.
So it's
He
like,
didn't even face a shot for like 10 minutes, and
right,
we had the
for,
lead. We had regained the lead. We were down 5-4 going into the or we were down 4-3 at the end of the second because UPL led in those 2 goals. Well, the Sabres and
at the
UPL,
end
I
of the
guess.
period.
Yeah, within the last like 30 seconds. So you're down 4-3 going into the second. They actually come out and score 2 goals, retake the lead. You're feeling pretty good, and then UPL or Levi doesn't even face a shot for I think close to 10 minutes, and then yeah, the first 2 shots go in, and it's like, man, it just took the steam out of you against that was such a wacky game. But just kind of I just wanted to elaborate that because I like seems like it was kind of like maybe a little bit of a mismanagement from the team there, and why not just give Levi the game against like a Montreal team that like isn't like this potent offense and pretty beatable. Like it could have been a good game for Levi like to just start.
Yeah.
Who knows if
And
he starts how that game goes.
right, I agree. I agree. I I just don't know. We really can't afford to shoot ourselves in the foot. Like we just went over the division and how close it is and everything, and like we especially with the injuries, we can't afford unforced errors. And playing a hurt UPL was an unforced error because he missed the next game. And luckily we did reclaim James Reimer on waivers, so we did have the opportunity to send Devin Levi to Rochester, where I've been banging that drum for a little while now, and every time he gets in the net, he honestly loses the game for us, and that's so hard to say because I feel like there's a little bit of a disconnect between fans about like what kind of chances the Sabres give up because they don't give up like a whole lot. Like yes, they give up chances, but so does every single team. The difference is those teams are getting saves.
Mm-hmm.
With Devin Levi in the net, he wasn't giving you, and like he'd make a highlight reel save here and there, but he wasn't really giving you the safe, calm saves either. So it's like one of those goals was a like a flutter from the point, and it's like, dude, what are you even looking at? Like, how does that go in? Like, it can't go in. Like, there are goals that I must have texted you like at least 10 times this year, like just verbatim that can't go in, like every
Mm-hmm.
single game.
Yeah, Levi's been struggling. We'll transition into the goaltending in 1 second. Then the last thing I want to mention about the UPL like injury is the way look at how the Sabres started last season. You know, Levi they gave Levi whatever like 6 of the first like 7 games, right? And
Yep,
he ends up getting hurt.
yep.
And it's like I know Lindy wasn't here, but you have people in the organization that were still there. Kevin Adams was here. It's like I know you want to get UPL hot and things, but look at historically what's happened with some of your goalies. Like if these guys are getting banged up or you're playing them too much, like you have to be cautious there. I was as much as an advocate as give UPL 4, give Levi 1 or 3 and 1. Like I wanted UPL to have more starts. He's the guy, but when you hear that he was banged up and they still let him go out, it just seems like a mismanagement of that situation, and it cost you a couple games because he hasn't been able to play, and you've had to go to Levi and you haven't had good performances. So everything matters. You got to make smart decisions, and maybe they didn't learn from last year and Levi and whatnot. But we can go into that now because we're gonna the theme of the episode here tonight is early season questions. So we got a bunch down here. We'll kind of rifle through maybe some player questions that we have first. We got some coaching questions. So we'll just things that we're seeing and that we want to chat a little bit about more here on the pod. And the first one is the goaltending and specifically Devin Levi and what we do with him. The news since we last spoke, James Reimer was claimed by the Sabres, and he is now the backup goalie, and Devin Levi is down in Rochester. So what are your thoughts? Do you like that? Do you think that's the best spot for Levi right now? And what do you think the future holds for goaltending this season?
It should stay this way for the rest of the year. Again, once again, the Sabres made the mistake of forcing this kid into the lineup, and I know he only played 3 games or 4 games now, I guess, but he just never looked comfortable to me. Like even in his first game, it was like, here's a rebound, here's a rebound. Like he struggled with rebound control since the day he entered the league, and even in Rochester. I really don't know what to do besides just let him play games down on the farm. Even the best goalie prospects in the world play in the AHL until they're like 24, 25 years old. Yaskari Askarov, who got traded from Nashville to San Jose, um, he was in the AHL for multiple seasons with Nashville because obviously their goaltending was very good. They had, just a backup behind, oh my God, I'm blanking.
Saros.
Suttons, every single year, and they didn't really need him. So then they moved him to San Jose, and even San Jose, that terrible team, didn't put him in the NHL. He was in the AHL for almost this whole season. He's been lights out down there, and now they just called him up.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
not what we did with Devin Levi. We promised him games. Do you think I'm going to ask you a question because this is a talking point I've heard a little bit. Do you think Kevin Adams promised Devin Levi after we signed him that he would be in the NHL?
Yeah, I think that's a big move for Kevin Adams, and one of the only ways he can get things done. I mean, we
It's
all
slow,
laughed at
right?
the Eric Johnson signing last year, but like he probably got Eric Johnson to come here because he said, "I'll guarantee you some playing time."
Yeah,
Like I just think that that's like one of his go-tos, and it gets him in trouble. So
definitely. Because we're at the point now in this build where your playing time is going to be based on play and not promises. And I feel like with Levi, it's been all promises. Besides that first, little run at that, like those 6 games he came in at the end of the year when we were trying to make the playoffs, which it's really not great because now probably pissed him off. And I don't care about that either. Like if he's mad that he's not in the NHL, stop the puck. That's all I got to say to him.
I don't think he's mad. I think, and if there were promises made from Kevin Adams' end of things, then I don't really think that's an issue either because he gave, if anything, it just gave him the chance to play, and he didn't perform. So at the end of the day, who do you have to blame but yourself for not making those saves? So I think if Kevin Adams made promises, I mean that's probably not how you want to handle contract negotiations and getting players to come and sign, but it did it did give him games and he didn't capitalize on it. And I wonder if when he played last season, when he came up at the end of 2022, he had those whatever 7 or 8 games. He looked great. Start of the season looked great as well last year, and he did decent last year for the most part. Like I think he ended up being a plus GSAX goalie like on the year last year, and I don't understand where the regression's coming in this year. Like, do you think it's just a gameplay thing? Do you think it is because he's just not playing consistently? There's clear regression this year.
I think it's confidence, number one, but I also think it's now that there's a book on him. I think Chad posted on Twitter the other day that he went back and watched all, I think, 17 goals before. I think it was before the Montreal game, all 17 goals that Levi let in. He had an article about it, and out of the 17 goals, I think 10 of them were high blocker. So he's got a book on him now. Like guys are shooting, in his weak spot, and he's really
Yeah,
got to learn to combat that.
he is good with the glove. Like
Yeah.
I would think that weak side is probably the blocker side there. But just some of the goals that he's letting in. Like couple 5-hole goals, like a couple of like kind of point blank, like just side to side, point shots that
Oh,
he's let in.
dude,
Things he was stopping before. So like that's a great if that was Chad, that's a great article because it's not something you think about a whole lot as just like the average fan of like, all right, like that's a great point. There is tape on this guy now, and obviously it's other NHL teams' jobs to try and exploit weaknesses. So is that something that we're seeing a pattern of? I have to try and pay more attention to that closely too. But also, just like, is there something mentally going on there? Like I don't know. Is it because you just can't stay in rhythm? You know?
I don't know. And like you shouldn't need to be the guy to be like an effective goalie. Like I don't know, it's tough. Like we have UPL here, we paid him, like he's clearly the guy. Like you said, could it be mental? Could it be like, oh, I'm never gonna like outperform this other guy and like unseat him because he got paid. I don't know. I don't know. It's excuse me. It's kind of a sad situation because now we're stuck a little bit with him in the minors, and it's like, what do we do? Just let him play there for the full year, even though it's like, well, here's the egg on our face now. Maybe he should have been here in the minors the whole year, and the fact that we had James Reimer on the roster already. Like they
Mm-hmm.
could easily just said, Devin, I know you want to be in the NHL, but the AHL is where you're supposed to be right now, and just stuck with Reimer and UPL. And if he lit it up after Christmas, maybe then you make that call. But they didn't do that, and now we're stuck looking stupid. Like again,
But we don't even know what Reimer looks like.
he hasn't been great in Anaheim. Like he was good his first couple starts in Anaheim, and then it's Anaheim. They're really not good, so they're getting pounded every night. But at least he's an NHL goalie. Like he was decent for Detroit last year. Like he was
Yeah.
at least he's a seasoned pro NHL goalie.
I wonder. I feel like it probably would have made sense though to like. I mean, I guess you can always just call Levi back up, but like
Yeah,
it would have. I would have liked to see like before they sent him down. And I know Rochester needs a guy, so I guess it makes sense, But it just would have been nice to see a game from Reimer just to kind of like see because if he goes out and just sucks, it's like I mean, just send you could send Reimer down, to
they tried
Rochester. He could be their
once
goalie.
before. He got claimed.
Well, yeah, I know, but who else is claiming him now? Do you think? I mean, somebody could, but is if he clears waivers, probably not huge demand for him right now, and it's like so that's an option, I guess. Still, but and you don't know if Levi's going to get call ups, here and there from Rochester too, depending on the schedule. So we'll see what happens. But it's too early to say anything like bust or whatnot. But I think
Oh yeah, he's
it's
still
not the
only, how old is Devin Levi? 22. He's got, honestly, his NHL career shouldn't have even started. If you want to
yeah
be like
yeah.
real honest about it, like he's ahead of the curve in starts like NHL games, but he just needs some time. Like that's about it. Like he's going to be good. I have no questions about whether he's going to be good in the future, but we can't we can't risk that like right now. Like the opportunity is too great to make the playoffs to go through these growing pains anymore.
Well, we talked about this too, just not specifically about Levi, but because we can move on from the goaltending now, but like in the broad scope of things, is like, do the Sabres, where are the Sabres good and where are they bad? You think about drafting, developing, and then signing players. At least under Kevin Adams' tenure, drafting has been good, development maybe not so much, signing definitely not. So it's like those are three pillars to having success. And if you're drafting good, but you're falling short on development and you're not signing guys because there's limitations there with getting things done and getting players to come to Buffalo right now. I understand that, but you're not signing free agents to come here. You're not trading any of these draft picks for players to come here. It's kind of a mess right now, as far as that goes.
Yeah, I personally I feel like I like the roster as a whole, but the fact that it's so glaringly obvious that they could use like maybe one or two tweaks, like one or two upgrades, and we still have this plethora of prospects and picks that we just know aren't being used and are just going to sit there and rot away and until like either a player, like let's take Isaac Rosen for example, like I know he got called up.
Well, let's move into this question then, because one of our
Okay.
questions was, are any Amherst like ready to contribute now, like from a
Okay.
player aspect? Because with Greenway out, with Tage banged up, there's room right now for potentially some of these kids to come up. So this is Kulik, Roseanne, Ryan Johnson, whoever, are any of the Amherst, what are your thoughts on any of them in their ability to contribute now in a win now mode and a team that doesn't want to fall any more behind in this wild card race?
I like we've talked about before, Yuri Kulik. I think he's an NHL player. Like at least you got one guy that's down there that's an NHL player, and he got called up too, and he's gonna play. So there's one guy right there that I think makes you better right now. In the lineup doesn't have to be every night. Doesn't it? Obviously he got set back down, but Roseanne I feel like has been in the AHL for a year too long, and he's playing really well now. But I
He's got
think
13 points in 14 games. Yep.
every single organization has an Isaac Roseanne in their organization. So what is that trade value? Like there, I think it's diminished. You kind of got to trade these guys before they're like almost known commodities. Because a GM will be like, oh, this could be something, but he's just been in the AHL, doing his thing, not exactly a world beater. You're not going to get something like amazing for him. And it's like, well, he's going to come up here and play a couple games and then go back down, and it's kind of just a waste, in my opinion. And then you talking about on defense, could Ryan Johnson get a game here or there? Maybe. I think he's playing pretty well. But they signed, you know, Gilbert. They brought back the rest of the Bozo crew in Haru and Clifton and Samuelson, who once again is out long term, like clockwork. And it's like, is there room for him? I don't know. You'd have to waive one of Bryson or Gilbert, and I guess it wouldn't hurt too bad to do that. But they should have made a move on defense in the summer. Like all of this goes back to Kevin Adams. He
Hmm.
did some nice things and also failed, like at the same time. And it's just so frustrating for me because you can see like the foundation of a good hockey team, but they're not helping the players again.
Well, we'll go into Yoki next because
Yeah.
that's the next question that we have lined up here that I definitely want to transition to. I'll give my thoughts real quick on the Amherst and anybody filling in. I think we've seen it from Kulik. We just want to see the goal scoring. He's someone that can help contribute in that area there. So if he's got the shot, he might not do what like Zach Benson does right now, getting into those dirty areas, finding the spots in the front of the net. And Benson's been getting some points, so hopefully he can be a potentially a stream of goals and for us. I don't know if Kulik's going to do that, but if he can rip home some shots and show some progression there over the next few weeks, that can be helpful. Roseanne, we've always kind of both liked, but again, I think with him, another year or two goes by, it's like you're kind of approaching like Rusek levels where it's like, are you gonna like he's still a young kid, but it's like you've had chances here a few years and it's like not much is coming and is anything gonna amount to anything? I think I'm a big fan of Ryan Johnson. This is where we can get into what we do with Yoki Haru a little bit more because if you move Yoki Haru and one of these prospects or whatever and you get somebody, you're probably at this point you're probably obtaining a forward. Like that is the need. You're not going for a defenseman. So if you're two out, one in and a roster spot opens up, I wouldn't mind seeing maybe Ryan Johnson coming up and potentially getting some play time there. Again, injuries kind of dictate a lot of this year, but Yoki Haru is right now another, a signing by Kevin Adams, who at the time we said we didn't like, what's the point? And he's whatever, $3.25 million sitting on the bench right now for like 6 games in a row. Like,
Yeah.
what is that?
He's playing, and he's not good. Like the
He's
only time
not
he
good.
looks semi-competent is with Darlene, and he can't play with Darlene. Like he can't ever. He plays with anyone else, and it's the worst pair in hockey. So like, what are we doing here with this guy? I guess he's playing tomorrow against LA. Lindy said so. He's back in
Great.
the lineup. Um, just so dumb, dude. Like just so. Why is he here? Like he doesn't do anything. When he plays with Darlene, like yeah, they can defend, but it doesn't allow Colleen to do his thing in the offensive zone, like because Yokiharu is busy shooting pucks into other team shin pads. It's just
Hmm.
frustrating to watch. It really is. They should not have brought him back.
No, no, there's no need there, and it's difficult because, like you said, Samuelson's out long term. If you move Yoki Haru within the next couple weeks, you're left with you got Darlene and Byram, you got Power, you got Bryson, Clifton, and Gilbert. So you got 7 guys. Did I miss anybody there?
Nope.
So that's 7 defensemen, right? You could just roll with that, but that's where I'm thinking like, could you bring Ryan Johnson up, and have him fill in there? Like I think Ryan Johnson paired with Darlene works well, honestly, or even Ryan Johnson trying him out with like Owen Power. Like I think those
I
lines
feel
could
like
be
that could
good.
work.
It's a hell of a lot better than Darlene, Yoki Haru, and then Byram and Power. Like those just weren't those just weren't mixing. So I
I mean, it was obvious that Byram and Power was like oil and water. Like it just wasn't working, and Byram and Darlene is working. Like that's good. But right now, Owen Power is paired with Jacob Bryson, who we like and we give him his flowers all the time. But he's not a top four guy, and when Owen Power struggles, he really struggles, and he needs a partner that might be like play like a steadier, game that can like, actually move the puck and defend a little bit. Ryan Johnson could be that guy.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And Bryson
Better
too.
than Jacob Bryson.
Bryson he I don't know what you think, but I feel like he is also a player too that I think he does better in spurts. Like when he starts having to play more games, I think that's where some of his deficiencies come out. Like when he has to come in and fill in for a few games, I think he can play really good for a few games, just kind of go balls to the wall. And it, I feel like he struggles the more longer term he has to play. So if he's a guy that if you move Yoki Haru, you have to give him some games off, but work in someone like a Ryan Johnson or whatever, then that could potentially work too. I mean, I don't know,
Yeah,
but
I agree with you. I think I see that too because I think he's like the ideal seventh defenseman. But like the problem here is we have him and we have Gilbert, who is clearly a seventh defenseman.
hmm
And while Connor Clifton can play some good hockey, he's no he's no he's not escaping the bozo meter, so we say. Like he does some dumb stuff. He's more of a 6-7 kind of guy, and it's like we don't have we got three good defensemen. I'm confident we have three good to great to elite defensemen in our big three.
hmm
But then the rest of the lineup, like all the way through the scratches, is like there's nothing to write home about. And on a team like the Sabres, you can't exactly function that way.
yeah, yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. I don't know if anything's going to happen with Yoki Haru. I hope it does. I think it's a necessary move. It's probably it's a problem that I don't think needed to be there, but that they've seemingly kind of created. And if he has to play some more games with the Sabres, hopefully he comes in and plays well, so we can get some wins, and that can maybe boost his trade stock up a little bit too if we're able to hopefully move him and capitalize on some good hockey. But you're talking about the good to great defenseman. Let's get into our last question here because this is I I wonder if we're going to be on different sides here, but I have a question about Darlene and just what are we thinking right now about his young captaincy, and is he a good fit for captain for this Sabres team? Is he doing a good job 18 games in? I mean, you say it's only 18 games, it's his first year, but this is a guy who's been in the league for like 7 years now. He's played a lot of hockey. He's an experienced hockey player. He clearly wanted the C, felt ready for it. I mean, we're 18 games into the season here. A few more games and you're quarter of a way through the season. So, what are we thinking?
I mean, I can't really say whether he's a good captain or not. I will say that he needs to stop taking stupid ass penalties at the end of games and just doing the dumbest things I've ever seen him do. Like, I don't know if it's him like taking the captaincy to heart or like being frustrated or what, but his brain is just it just shuts off, man. Like that's like the only way I can describe it. Like I don't know what he's doing sometimes. It's so odd. Like he doesn't make smart decisions like using his body or like the one day when he swung his stick and got a penalty or
hmm
the other day the puck gets chipped past him and he interferes with a guy like on the power play and we had a power play for 7 seconds and there goes that power play because your captain made a stupid decision to ride a guy into the boards when it was unnecessary and it's like dude or like end of game penalties. I I don't know. I mean I don't know. I think he's a fine captain and I
Let me
know the
put
guy.
it this way. Let me put it this way. Is being a leader on the ice enough? So he obviously leads by example, but
Yeah,
there's captaincy is it's an intricate thing. Like I think a lot of people think, oh, you just got to see like it's no big deal. Like it's more of a formality. Like that's a big thing, especially in the NHL. And Darlene, he does okay with English, but there's a barrier there. There's a language barrier there, and you could tell sometimes when he does interviews that he has some difficulty processing what he wants to say and still has some difficulty with interpreting things like that. So if I rephrase it as like, is him being able to, with some limitations and seemingly not, being that guy that's going to emotionally get riled up or really get too vocal or verbal with things, is him just being a leader on the ice, but maybe not necessarily as vocally or emotionally enough? Like, is that sufficient for this Sabres team?
I don't know if that's true though. If he is, because I mean, by
Yeah, we
all
don't
accounts,
know. We're not in the locker room, but
you've heard him be the like people have said like he's the one that is up in like even Oposo said this last year while he was here like Oposo like Dalian was the guy like getting up in the locker room and like yelling at everyone being like holding people accountable. So I
it's
just
not
think he's in his
working.
head. I just think he's in his head. He's got to play better. Like he's playing fine. Like dude, it's so weird. Like let's say like between like minute like I'm just using these for example like between like minute 4 and minute 56 you're getting like awesome Rasmus Dahlin. Like he's scoring goals now. Like finally putting the puck in the net, making plays. Like he gets points every night. But then there's like that small gap of time like in a hockey game where he's just doing dumb shit and like that's not what a captain does. So
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what we do about that. Like, I think he just has to play out of it
hmm
because
It's
I do think there's guys on this team that are holding him accountable. Like Jason Zucker has seen it all. I guarantee you that they're in the locker room like being like, dude, you're the captain. You have like you're the one that has to play smart out here, and he just has to do it. And
hmm
this has been a theme with him. You know, he doesn't really like. There has been a time where I've thought that like he forgets how to play hockey until December 1st, and then December 1st comes on, and then it's like, all right, we got Rasmus Dahlin back, and it's like, well, he can't really afford to do that when we're in the thick of like 2 to 4 points out of a playoff spot before Thanksgiving.
yeah. I guess my final stance on it is I don't want it to seem like my criticism of Darlene is like only results based, and like
Yeah,
I'd be loving him as a captain if we were like if we had a better record, right now, because that's really not the case. Like my criticism of him is just what I'm currently seeing and what I think is maybe going on, and just kind of wanting to just see again kind of the dumb stuff be eliminated because you just can't do that as a leader, but just seeing more emotion out of him, and I think seeing more urgency in the team will tell me that that's maybe happening. Maybe that's unfair to put all on him, but again, he is the captain. So I don't want to be like, oh, like Matt's just saying this because the Sabres aren't getting the results they wanted to. Like, no, I'm going to be critical of Darlene because he's our captain. He's an $11 million player a year. He's pretty sure he's the highest paid defenseman in the league right now, and it's like that's a person you expect a lot from, and right now I think he's underperforming but that doesn't mean he can't work his way out of it. But he's got to obviously play better on the ice. I think he's been fine. I don't think he's been great. Doesn't have to be great every night, but I'm just gonna keep an eye on it because something's still a little off there for me, and I want to see that turn around because that's important.
it does feel weird though, doesn't it? Like it feels like you said off. There's been times where he has had the puck, in the in the corner, and then someone just says, "Give me that," and you expect a guy that's 6'3", like 220 like Darlene is and has shown his strength in this league. Like he crushes guys, he's strong, he pushes guys around in front of the net. And for him to just get pickpocketed like that multiple times is like it's like why are you I guess I can sum it up to him just being too casual. Like he's just so casual sometimes and it really bites him.
Yeah, like for example, he gets the overtime winner against St. Louis, and then like that's a big win. A game you didn't have your best game against St. Louis, but you come back in the third, you tie it up after the goalie interference call, which was absurd,
Yep.
and then you tie it up. Darlene gets the game-winning goal in overtime. Like your captain, right? He responds after his bad game against Montreal, and and then it's a 5-2 loss to Philly. Slow start, and he has he's a -1 with 4 penalty minutes. The next game, it's like there's just something there. Like I don't know what it is. But he's got to start. He's got to. I don't need a goal and an assist every game. I wouldn't care. I just want to see a little bit more out of him. I know Tage is more of the vocal leader, but I want to see that. I feel like last year I saw more emotion on the ice, and I'm just not
Yeah.
seeing it as much right now.
We'll see what happens with that because I like I said, man, like Hopefully December 1st comes around and he starts playing like the real Rasmus Dahlin does, and getting in guys' faces and you know carrying the puck with authority. And like he hasn't really done that this year. Like take the puck coast to coast, go around two guys, and set up a guy for a prime scoring chance. You haven't really seen that from him. And
Mm-mm.
when's it coming?
Yeah. Well, it's got to come soon. It's got to come soon before it's too late. But all right, where do you want to transition next here? You want to
I
get into
want to
some
talk
coaching
about
things?
the coaching.
All right, I'll let you take it away.
Number one, I have to give the coaching staff and Lindy some props because I do like a couple things about Lindy specifically. He'll change things when it's not working. There's been multiple times where he's flip flopped, like Paterka goes back with the kids line, or like put Benson with the top line. Like he's done the line stuff. He's done the line matching. He's done the pull the goalie early thing. Like he knows what he's doing. The thing I liked the other day against St. Louis was when it's a tie game. There's about a minute ish left, and the St. Louis Blue runs over our goalie um, and takes a delayed penalty.
Yeah,
And
what a
instead
bad penalty.
So dumb. Such a dumb penalty. So instead of going up the ice and trying to score, like, with a 6-on-5 and, getting a 5-on-4 power play and then a broken, 4-on-3 power play in overtime, we just held the puck. Held the puck for a full minute in our own zone. And it was great because why should St. Louis care about giving us a point? They're in the opposite conference. So they're like, you guys can take the puck and head to overtime and give us our point. And it was fine. And we had the opportunity to win the game 4-on-3. And it's statistically way better to have a 4-on-3 overtime power play than it is a regular 5-on-4 power play. And we won the game on that Darlene goal. So I want to give the coaching staff props for that because I don't think a Don Granato coach team would have had the awareness to just keep the puck and play for overtime.
No,
So
definitely not.
props to them. But we got to talk special teams again because once again, we are so bad on special teams. And you know me, special teams in my head comes down almost exclusively to coaching.
Yeah. All right, you want me to interject there?
Yeah,
I didn't know
yeah.
if you were done. Well, what do you think is the? So I was just looking up our. I was just getting on Hockey Reference real quick and looking up where we're at right now. So Sabres power play has been a little bit improved. So we're currently sitting at 17.9% on the power play, still below league average, which is 20.5%. And the PK is at 77%. Again, still below league average, which is currently sitting at 79.5%. I I don't know, man. I think I disagree a little bit here because I've seen the power play improve. So I don't want to be too hard on Appert there because I think there has been some better things on the power play and a lot of the goals we're getting on the power play, like we had the one Tage bomb like 4 games ago, but other than that, for the most part, it's been like good plays and puck movement and things. So they have one of the hottest power plays over like the last like couple weeks, I think,
I
in
saw
in the
that in
league.
October
So it seems like it's picking up in the right direction. Like
or November. I mean, I'm sorry.
that 17.8 number like could easily be league average if they didn't start like whatever 0 for 22.
Well, the
So
entire problem is the in zone stuff is fine for me. The in zone stuff is fine. The problem is they can't gain the zone. Like
yeah,
they do the same thing every time. They don't dump the puck. Every team does this. Like a lot of people bitch about the back pass to the guy, like gaining speed through their own zone to the neutral zone. Every team does that. That's just a thing that was actually created by Lindy Ruff.
yeah, literally every game I watch it happens.
Yeah, every game. That was actually created by Lindy for in the old Sabres teams, the 05, 06 team. We started that, which is pretty cool. But every team adopted that. That's just a thing. But no matter if it's JJ, if it's Tage, or Owen Power carries the puck a lot on the power play. None of these guys can gain the zone with possession. Like I don't know what they got to do to change their zone entries. Like if they got to, dump the puck in with speed and go get it, or instead of crossing the blue line and making a quick pass to the boards, just maybe carry it yourself and try to set up like in the corner and then start the power play from there. I'm not really sure what they need to do because they're wasting like almost 45 seconds to a minute just trying to gain the zone. And it's like if you're in the zone, you can start, cycling and doing your thing, but they're basically cutting their power plays in half every power play.
Who's your power play one? Like who? Who's
Who's
the
on it?
Sabres? Who's the Sabres power play one right now?
Darlene, JJ, Cousins, Thompson, and Tuck, I think.
Okay, so I believe you're right. If you're Seth Appert, what's your power play one? Is it those five guys?
I
It's
want
not
Zach
mine.
Benson. I think you got to. I know they have JJ in for puck carrying, and I know he's an awesome 5-on-5 player. He's a really bad power play player. Like
Yeah,
at this point in his career,
that's a
like
switch.
I think you got to demote him off the power play. Not off the power play completely, but put him on power play too. And I want to see, is Jason Zucker actually on power? No, he's on power play 2 or 1. I'm not sure, but I want to see. This would be my five guys for power play
Mm-hmm.
1.
Mm-hmm.
It's Tage, Darlene, Zucker, Benson, and who's my fifth? Tage,
McLeod.
Zucker, Darlene. McLeod should get power play time,
Yeah.
but so it's Darlene, Tage, Zucker, Benson, and let's just say Alex Tuck. Like just try it.
So
Try
you're going
something
one
different.
defender. So you're going one. You
Yeah,
don't want
one
two
defender.
D. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
just try it. Like why does JJ have to be on power play 1? Like why is the first switch you make? Why is Dylan Cousins on power play 1? Like he throughout these guys' careers so far, they've proven to not be good power play players. So why can't we just like switch the entire grouping up?
Do you like? I'll get to mine in a second, but do you like the bumper, or do you like a box and then one below the goal?
I like the bumper position if we actually used it. Like if we actually like passed it there, and, like put it down low and then across. Like we don't really. The bumper guy for the Sabres is strictly to stand there and then occasionally take a one timer from whoever's standing at the goal line.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll take it from point to goal line to middle of the ice, and usually that's Dylan Cousins, and he has proven to not be a sniper. Like he puts the puck in goalie's chest more often than not. So I'm not really sure who should be there. I like it. Like look at Sam Reinhart. Like look, he's scoring, 50 goals a year from that position
Yeah.
on the power play, and it's like it's beneficial, it's smart, but it's either they're not utilizing the personnel correctly and they don't gain the zone. So when they do try to get stuff set up, it's just a mess. So it's
I
so annoying.
would my five would be I'd go two defensemen.
Yeah, well, that's so. Teams don't do that now, probably because they don't have a Darlene Power environment. But we could probably make it work.
Hear me out here. This is my rationale.
Okay, I'm
If
listening.
Darlene speaks for itself, I mean, I know we're critical at times, but I mean his ability to drive a power play is great. If you have him in power at the point, power his play at the point is fantastic.
Like
And
you'd want him to be the quarterback at the top.
yes, I would. I would. And because he runs things really good, and I think Darlene has that quicker like snap pass across the ice and can make things happen, and has just better vision overall, like trying to create because that's just more his game. Like I think
Yeah,
like so I'd have power quarterbacking the top, and I'd have Darlene up kind of up top there, right? Both but power kind of running things, and then I want Tage obviously on one side. I'd have Zucker on the other side, and I would put Benson either in the bumper or just down low. I just hit his knack for just getting in good position in front of the goaltender, or just he's our best player along the boards. He just is. So if it cycles down low, he can literally he can beat two guys for a puck himself, even though he's so small. I don't know. That's what I would try. I mean it's
yeah, it makes sense. We got to try anything. I mean, There's no idea is a bad idea here. Another problem I think is they don't move still. Like, yes, you have Tage on that one side, right? And so do I. But a good power play puts the penalty kill in awkward positions. Like a guy like Tage Thompson, why is he not like roaming, from the left side to the right side, down low, back to the left side? Like we should have movement on this power play. Like we
Hmm.
have enough guys that are skilled with the puck on their stick where it should be like you should be able to be in all five spots no matter what. Like you shouldn't be beholden to one side because then your shit's just stale and it's like then you're very easy to defend.
Yeah, yeah, they got to get more bodies in front of the net too when those
Yeah.
pucks are
Look
when
at
those pucks are coming in.
the goals we scored against St. Louis. Who was in front of the net?
Yeah, Benny,
Little guy, the littlest guy on the goddamn team, is the guy screening Jordan Binnington, who's
and
6'5".
he gets rewarded because
Yeah.
he scored whatever the first goal or the second goal,
Yep.
but that's so you got to have better movement. You got to have better presence in front of the net, creating shooting lanes and clearing guys out so they can't block shots. Potentially mixing up some personnel, but I mean, I think it's fair to ask the question, but I do think it's been better. We'll see what happens, over this next stretch of games. We're still in a stretch of the schedule where it's softer opponents, so you might be able to the power play is going to be critical to hopefully get on a run here.
Seth Appert's power plays in Rochester hovered around 17%.
Yeah.
So this is kind of him. Honestly, I don't know. I think I'm starting to think like you said. You don't want to be hard on him yet because we are only 18 games in, but I'm leaning towards that being a mistake hire and not giving Lindy any rope to do what he wanted. Just screams Mickey Mouse organization to me yet again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hey, well, you know what? If they don't make the playoffs next season or
Oh,
this
dude,
season, we got Jim Montgomery coming to town.
I would be stoked. Like, I know this sucks to say. Like, we're obviously hoping to be in the playoffs and all this, and we're going to talk about Kevin Adams next. I'm very excited to get into this topic because oh, buddy, I I
Here's
don't
a
know.
preview. The answer is no.
Yeah. The answer is going to be no. I don't know. I feel good about it, but I don't think it would be unless there's like a player driven response where it's like I don't want to be in this city anymore from like your bigger guys. A complete organizational rehaul. Is that a word?
Revamp,
Revamp, thank you. I was like, that doesn't sound right.
overhaul. You're looking for
Overhaul,
overhaul.
that doesn't sound, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, in my opinion.
Who
Like,
wants to rehaul? Like, dude, if you like haul your house and then you haul it again, that's a ton of work. I'm not doing that.
I combined like revamp and like overhaul as the same thing. But like I wouldn't be opposed, man. At this point I'm stale on Kevin Adams. Like our next question here is will Kevin Adams make a trade? And I'll start by saying I swear to God, if he doesn't make a trade, he is fully responsible for what happens over the next 60 games. This is your roster, dude. It's not good enough. I'm sick of hearing, I don't know about you, I'm sick of reading in the media or hearing in the media that he's trying to make a trade.
Hmm.
I try to do things all the time and I'm unsuccessful at it. I'm unsuccessful. You know what? That makes me a failure. Okay? If you're trying to make a trade and you're unsuccessful, you're a failure. Stop saying that you're trying to make a trade and make a fucking trade.
We definitely need a shirt that just says quote I try to do things all the time. We need to make that happen. That is a fantastic quote, but it's so true. I mean, I cannot see that one more time. I think everyone's there, right? I mean, I think all your big, Sabres, Twitter folks out there, and even just committed fans to this team are that pay attention to the news, week in week out are all there, just like, all right, Kevin, we know, and we've heard your press conferences about how it's difficult to make trades happen, and you got to have two sides agreeing. It's like just you got to do it. But at the same time, part of me is nervous that like he's going to go and make some blockbuster dumbass trade that's going to set us back even further because he's fighting for his job. It's like I don't want either one of those. It's got to be the right thing, but I do not think that this is coming. I
You know what
mean,
we'll do? So you know what we'll do? We'll trade a future considerations or a seventh round pick for like Eric Robinson again and call that a trade.
Eric
Can I,
Robinson, who's got like 15 points,
I was gonna say, did you see that?
he's like
Bro
a
is
plus 8.
bro is like that's just Carolina, dude. That's pure Carolina effects right there. He's got like 9 points in 13 games, or like how many ever games he's played. He's got like 10 points. It's kind of funny.
I mean, he
That
was fine last year.
yeah, he was like he was fine. Like they didn't necessarily have to go out and trade a second round pick for Beck Malenstein. Like as much of a cult hero as Beck Malenstein is at this point in his Sabres career, like you had Beck Malenstein like in your lineup. Like he was fine.
Yeah,
Great, like perfectly fine fourth line hockey player. I don't know. They just keep doing like the dumbest shit, dude. Like
he has no idea what
so
he's
annoying.
doing. He has no idea what he's doing.
I kind of agree, and like I've been defending him for years now, and it's like he just sits on his hands, bro. He just sits on his hands. Like we just talked about, like all the assets we've accumulated and not spent. Like
Nobody wants him.
yeah, because we're sitting
Matt
on
Savoy
like a
had the highest trade value, and he moved him. But
great
other
trade,
than that,
great trade.
great. It was a
Look
good
at
move.
McLeod.
It was a good move. If anything, I mean, you just proved yourself. You could go do it. Like you made a move, and it was a good move. Like go do it again. Like at this point, I would trade Yuri Kulik tomorrow if it meant we got help right now.
I completely agree with you. I am
Yuri
not.
Kulik is a great player. He's probably going to be a good player.
Yep.
These kids are coming every year. Every year, there's more and more players. We probably have a couple great players on the Amherst right now. Like you cannot be afraid to make a move because newsflash, people are being born every year. There's more hockey players coming up
Yeah.
every
Look
year.
at the
Like
next guy. The next guy is Consta Helenius. Like he looks
exactly,
fantastic in Rochester.
Consta's doing great. It's like, and you don't have enough room for all these, but also it's like, if you like, you have room to part with some, and you may have to part with your big moves. I would trade Kulik tomorrow. I would trade Isaac Roseanne tomorrow. I would trade Noah Oslin. These guys are, like you said, Wahlberg's probably the one guy you don't trade because he's just different than some of your
Yep.
other guys. But when you've almost seemingly made the mistake of just getting the same player every year, well, who wants them? And it's like that's your job, dude. You need to identify who wants them, who needs them. It's hard to make a trade in fantasy football. I've made 4 of them this year because I've looked at other teams' needs and I said, "Hey, this fits both of us. Let's do it," and it gets done.
You should put it in a resume for Sabres GM. I bet it's on LinkedIn somewhere.
It's just not that
And
hard.
what's funny? Terry Pagula would 100% hire you because he's a fucking moron.
I mean, I shipped Dallas Goddard for 7 fab. Like, I mean, that's a great move. I didn't need him. I got some money for him. I got them future considerations.
You did though. That's like literally you did trade Dallas Goddard for future considerations. That's crazy.
There we go.
I know people are gonna come and say like, oh well, who's out there? It's not my job to know. Like it's not my job to know who's out there. You
Yeah,
know.
I know.
And Elliot Friedman's in the media. Like every 32 Thoughts podcast or every 32 Thoughts article is like, GMs around the league are telling me that Buffalo is the most active team trying to do that. Okay, then do it. Like, what are we doing here? Like, we're sitting here 2 points out of a playoff spot with a team that has decent underlyings, 5-on-5. The power play, although I think it sucks, and you said that it's one of the most power plays in November. Go help them. Like, go do something, bro. I'm doing Trump hands right now. Like, do something. Come on. What are we
Dude,
doing? Like,
I tell you,
holy.
it's the meme. It's the meme. I feel like every GM right now is on the phone with another GM, and they get a call from Kevin Adams. They're like, hold on. I got to put you on hold. You'll never believe who's calling me again. Hey, Kevin, what's going on? Oh, you still want to make a move? All right, I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you.
And then they turn to their assistant and they're like, I'm not making a trade with this fucking guy.
No.
He's not respected. Like,
And I would love him to prove
I
me wrong.
truly don't
I
think
would
he's
love there to
respected.
be some blockbuster move where
Me
he
too.
he goes and grabs a guy. Like, prove us wrong, but
What
you
team is
haven't
shit right
proven us
now?
wrong for 4
What team is
years.
shit? Let's go look at the standings right now because I'm fired up. What team is shit?
I'm telling you, dude,
Okay.
go get Sid the Kid.
That's a perfect team, actually.
I know.
Go
I said that
trade.
before the season.
Go trade for Marcus Pettersson on D. Go trade for Malkin. Why not?
I would have given Crosby 15.6 million a year. No,
Is that the
17.
max? What's the max?
Well, he wants 8.7, right? So I would have
Well,
given him 17.4 million a year. I would have doubled his 8.7.
I'm looking right now. Okay, Nashville. I don't know if Nashville's bad. We hyped up Nashville like the whole summer. Everyone did. We're not the only ones. They're currently second last in the league. I don't know what's going on with
Barry
that team,
Trotz is having a
but
fire sale.
Barry Trotz literally said, if they don't pick it up, I'm trading people. Call him and be like, are you really trading people? Like, what? What do you want?
I mean, Calgary is
Colorado,
a perfect team.
Calgary, perfect team. Go trade for Mackenzie Weegar. Power, Weegar, insane
Kadri.
defense pair. Kadri and Weegar. Bam, make it happen tomorrow. You can afford it. I don't care about
Rasmus
Kadri's
Anderson is
contract
there. I
either.
mean, we don't really need a defender, but still, I mean, dude.
Dude, can you imagine? Like, okay, let's trade. Let's say we are smarter people than me have said that Rasmus Anderson like isn't exactly as good as he's perceived to be. But Mackenzie Weegar is, and he's there, and he's a little older, and he's a right shot defenseman too. If you traded for Mackenzie Weegar and Nazem Kadri, right? And I'm just
Hmm.
using those two as an example. They also have Blake Coleman, who I kind of like too. Then your defense would be Byron Dahlin, Power, and Weegar. Instantly, that is one of the best top fours in hockey. And then you have Nazem Kadri to play on your second line. Like, let's shift Dylan Cousins to the wing and see if that helps him. Let's put Jack Quinn down, down a line. Take Sam Lafferty out of the lineup, and when a Greenway comes back, he can play on the fourth line. That just makes you better.
Hmm.
And we have the money for it. And like, don't even talk to me about Kadri's contract. Like, he's still a great player, and he's a little older, and he's got a longer deal. But the cap is going up. I think Elliot Friedman said that the cap could be up to 97 million next year.
Yeah.
That's just more money for Terry to save.
So if Calgary calls tomorrow and says, "I'll send you Kadri and Uyghur, and in return, I want Yoki Haru, Yuri Kulik, and Ryan Johnson," are you doing that deal?
I would say yes. I don't care.
I don't even know if that's realistic. Maybe they
I
ask
don't know
for
if
more.
it
I
is
don't
either,
know.
but if those
But they
two
could
cost
just
you,
ask for a pick, trade a pick,
yeah,
like
if
whatever.
those two cost you Kulik and at this point a nothing player in Yoki Haru and a defenseman in Johnson who may or may not be good, but you're getting two good players, I'm done waiting. And like you
Hmm.
said, Hellenius is coming. Roseanne still could be an NHL player. You're going to draft another guy in the first round this
Yeah.
year.
You have Oslin, you have
You
Hellenius,
have
like you have these
Oswin.
guys.
You got Wahlberg. We're not like we're overlooking all these guys. Like we can afford to make it hurt again. Like it
Hmm.
hurts in Matt Savoy, but Ryan McLeod's a great player.
Hmm.
So keep doing more of that, and you'll always be able to supplement with the draft. So yeah, I guess I would say yes to that.
I wonder if they could ever make a move with Boston.
I thought about that too. I thought about that too because there are guys on that team that I would really, really like.
So I mean, that's if Boston's season keeps going, and Boston's a team that doesn't have a lot of young talent. They're a team that
They've
doesn't have
got
a lot of
nothing coming.
assets. I know you don't want to help out an in division team, but your ultimate goal right now is making the playoffs. And if that's potentially a team you could look to, I'm just trying to look at some other names here. I mean, it is tough, but that's your job to find these teams. You know.
Yep, I'm looking at Boston right now because there's a couple guys in my head, but I really need to like look at their roster and think about it. Let's say Boston's truly bottoming out. Like they're not going to make the playoffs. They know they're not going to make the playoffs. I'd take a Pavel Zacha on this team. He's signed for 3 more years at $4.75 million. I'd even take a Charlie Coyle on this team, signed for $5.2 million for another 2 seasons. Trent Frederick is a young player, like a tough guy, and he scores goals. Like he'd be awesome on our third line. Like we haven't even talked about it really, but the fourth line is really not good on this hockey team. Like
Yeah,
we thought they were kind of come in and be really good and hound the puck. And Peyton Krebs, I'm done with him. He does nothing, does absolutely nothing. He scored a nice goal the other day, just does absolutely nothing. Abed Cabell, I think
yeah.
he's the best player
Krebs, I'm done
on
with.
that fourth line, but he takes dumb penalties. Malenstein, kind of a meme. And Lafferty, oh my God, Lafferty is so bad. He needs to be out of the lineup tomorrow. I would put Rosen in the lineup over Lafferty. So we kind of need to just figure it out. You know, I don't know.
Hmm.
That's a really bad hockey team right there. They got nobody that, like, I would take like a. I'm looking right now. They got a guy named Parker Wotherspoon on their team. I don't even know who that is.
All right, I think we did some. I think we just. I kind of like that Calgary proposal there. That's an interesting. That's an interesting one there. But there's teams
Guys
to
were
target.
talking. I heard people were talking Zegras too from Anaheim,
Yeah,
trading for him. Dude, he kind of fell off. Like, I don't know if it's team related.
I wonder if I'd almost rather have Terry.
Troy Terry, dude, if the Sabres acquired Troy Terry, that's going to be now that'll be a deal that would hurt. Like that would probably take Kulik plus a first plus something else. Like he's really good,
I'd do it.
but I would do it. Exactly, that's the thing. Like, there's no price you can put in front of me right now that I wouldn't do.
Kevin Adams, like, I mean, he's in he can't lose because if you do nothing and nothing happens, you're probably done. And if you make a deal, any type of deal, people are going to be happy.
Yep.
And it's either going to be a good deal for you and we get done what we're looking for, or you're going to lose the deal and you're going to get fired anyways. You know, like you have to.
You're so right. Like, what? Like, there's no point for him in sitting on all these guys because, like, dude, if we don't make the playoffs, you're gone.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I mean, I hope it happens. I don't think it's going to happen because history tells us that nothing's going to happen. But hopefully, I'm wrong. But all right,
Okay.
is that gonna do it? We got any more?
So the Sabres are out west today, or this week. Sabres after dark.
Or potentially today,
Stateside.
whenever you're listening.
Yeah, like whenever you're listening. This is on Wednesday. They're playing LA, 10:30, I think, 10 o'clock, one of those two.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
while I'm sitting there, all you Sabres fans can think about me as I'm feeding my son his overnight bottle, watching the Sabres game while we're down 4-1 to the LA Kings, just stewing, telling my son how I'm sorry that we were born in this city and that, I wish we could move before you understand sports, but that's not going to happen. With that being said, I think the Buffalo Sabres
Don't do it.
are
Don't do
getting
it.
5 out of 6 points this week.
Oh my gosh. So just to recap, if you listened to last week, Ryan predicted that we would go 3-0 in the last 3 games, and I predicted a 2-1, and we were 1-2.
Yep.
But so you're going 2-0-1.
I'm going 2-0-1. I'm going 2 regulation wins and a shootout loss.
Could be good. Could be good. I'm going to give us the win against the Kings. The Kings beat us earlier in the season in a game that I don't think they should have beat us. I think we can. I think we can beat the Kings, and they need to respond. So I think they can have a bounce back game against the Kings, get us all buying back in a game, and then he got Anaheim and San Jose. I mean, man,
Dude, like, come on.
it's so. This is where I wish we were a good team because I would just say, yeah, we're gonna win those 2 games because it's
Right.
Anaheim and San Jose. Like we'll win those no problem, But like we thought we were gonna beat Montreal. You should have beat Philly, like, and then you beat the Rangers at like 6-1. This team just does shit that they shouldn't do. It's just they just make no sense. But I will say that I can't predict 2-0. I'd love us to get to overtime. I'll go 2-1 this week.
So 4 points.
Yeah, I'm Anaheim's had our number for some weird reason, so
Yeah,
I'll give us a loss against Anaheim, but then we can beat Mike Greer and the Sharks on Saturday there.
I think I'd be happy with that. To be honest with you, like just keep winning more games than you lose in a week, and you're in a good spot.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully we go 3-0, come back 11-9-1, and then we'd be we're probably going to record sometime next week, early again Monday Tuesday. If we could be 11-9-1, probably be in a playoff spot by then. That'd be nice. And then we got Thanksgiving on Thursday, so
Yep.
we'll see what happens. I will be at the game on the 27th. That's also a shout out to your boy, my birthday
Oh
next
yeah.
Wednesday. So
Is
yeah,
that the
yeah.
one you're sitting? Is that the game you're sitting in a suite?
Yep, we got the
Nice.
suite.
That's cool.
So that'll be nice. And dude, that's a Minnesota game. And dude, our games
Ooh.
against Minnesota are always fire though,
Yeah,
dude.
there's
Those
always like 13 combined goals scored in
yeah.
those games.
Yep. So hopefully that's a good game as well. But dude, 11-3-3. Remember when we did our draft, our fantasy draft, and
Yep.
I had that call. I took Kirill Kaprizov. That's my boy.
He's insane. He's insane.
He is insane, man. He is insane. But all right, I think that wraps it up for tonight, right?
Yeah, I'm all set. That was fun. That was cathartic. We were both positive and negative. I think we hit them all. Hit all the talking points that we wanted to hit.
Great show. Great show tonight, as always. I'm going to compliment the show. It's a damn good show. If you guys are listening to this show and you haven't told your friends and family about it yet, go ahead and tell your friends and family. Give us a review, 5 stars only. If you're going to review less than 5 stars, then just keep that review in your head. We want 5 star reviews.
Hey, what's the old adage? If you got nothing nice to say, don't say it at all.
Don't say it at all. Don't say it all. There we go. But you know what to do. Shout out. Follow us on Twitter at Sabres
Oh,
Spotlight.
follow us on Twitter, and I'm gonna make us a Blue Sky account because I'm on Blue Sky now.
There we go. Shout out. We got Blue Sky. We got the X, the Twitter going, and YouTube. As always, we're gonna put this up on YouTube, and then email address. If you got questions that you want us to address, shoot us an email, DM us on Twitter. Everything's down in the show notes. Other than that, we'll see everybody next week, hopefully after a couple wins, and stay safe in the Saberhood.
See ya.